My name is Daniel, and I want to start with something that happened at a 10-year college reunion because it explains more about retiring by 40 than any calculator ever will. Two women, Marin and Josh, friends since freshman year, same major, same starting salary at 24, ended up in the same industry, got promoted around the same time, and at 32, they were each sitting on almost the exact same number, about $50,000 invested, and a raise that pushed their income from $62,000 to $95,000 almost overnight. Same jump, same year, same starting point. 10 years later, at the reunion, Marin mentioned offhand that she was thinking about cutting back to part-time. Josh laughed and said, "Must be nice, still paying off a car he bought to celebrate that same promotion." Same raise, same decade, opposite outcomes. And when you actually sit down and trace what happened, it wasn't the market, it wasn't a lucky stock pick, and it wasn't that Marin was somehow more disciplined as a person. It was something so small it doesn't even show up on a bank statement. It was how many days passed before each of them touched the new money. That's the whole video, honestly. Not the $50,000, not the $95,000 salary, the window. Because there's a strange, almost unfair little mechanism buried in how your brain processes money, and once you see it, you can't unsee it in your own life. Psychologists call it a shifting reference point. Your brain doesn't experience your income as an absolute number. It experiences it relative to whatever it has recently gotten used to. The first time a bigger paycheck lands, your brain still remembers the old number. For a short stretch, extra money in the account still feels like extra. It feels foreign, almost accidental, like it belongs to a slightly different version of you. But that feeling has an expiration date. Somewhere between a few weeks and a couple of months of seeing that new balance, your brain quietly redraws the map. The new number becomes normal. And once something is normal, taking it away doesn't feel like saving, it feels like loss. This is the part nobody puts in a thumbnail because it's not about spreadsheets, it's about neurology. And it means the 10-year window to retire early isn't really a financial window at all. It's a psychological one, and it's a lot narrower than people think. Here's what that actually looks like in dollars, because I don't want to leave this abstract. Say you're 32. You've got that same $50,000 invested, and you get a raise that adds $15,000 a year to your take-home pay. If you redirect that entire $15,000 into your retirement accounts the same pay cycle it arrives, before your checking account balance ever shows it to you, at a conservative 5% real return, that single decision compounds into roughly $200,000 of additional retirement savings over 10 years, on top of whatever your original $50,000 grows into on its own. That's not from working harder, that's not from a better fund, that's from moving money before your own brain gets a vote. Now run the other version. Say you wait even 8 weeks to get settled before automating anything, long enough for a new phone, a nicer apartment, a car that matches the new title. The research on hedonic adaptation suggests that's roughly the window where a new income level stops feeling like a bonus and starts feeling like your baseline. Once that happens, pulling $15,000 a year back out of your lifestyle doesn't feel like investing anymore. It feels like a pay cut you're choosing to give yourself, and almost nobody chooses that voluntarily for 10 straight years. Same raise, same person, same $50,000 starting point, and a $200,000 gap that traces back to nothing but timing. This is exactly why the over 30 framing on this topic matters more than people realize, and it's usually explained backwards. Most videos treat 30 as a problem. You're behind, you started late, here's how to catch up. I think that's the wrong lens entirely. Your 30s are actually the last decade where this anchor trick reliably works in your favor, because they're usually the decade with the most raises packed close together, promotions, job changes, the jump from entry level to actually good at this. Every one of those moments is a tiny reset button. Your brain briefly forgets what normal feels like, and for a few weeks, you get to decide what the new normal is before it decides for you. By your 40s, raises tend to slow down, income plateaus, and you've usually had a decade to fully anchor to whatever you were making. The window doesn't close because you've failed, it closes because you've run out of resets. So if you're 32 or 35 with $50,000 saved, you're not behind schedule. You're actually standing in the exact stretch of years where this lever works hardest, and most people spend it without ever knowing the lever exists. If any of this is landing, this is a good moment to hit subscribe, because the next part is where most people quietly talk themselves out of using it, and I want to walk through exactly how that happens so you can catch yourself doing it in real time. The sabotage almost never sounds like, "I'm gonna blow this raise." It sounds responsible. It sounds like, "Let me get one paycheck in first, just to see the number." It sounds like, "I'll set up the higher contribution next month once things settle." That single month is doing more damage than any actual purchase, because it's the month your brain is quietly rewriting your reference point, and once it's rewritten, the fight against your own spending stops being a one-time decision and becomes a permanent, exhausting negotiation with yourself. This is why willpower-based advice fails so often for smart, disciplined people. It's not a willpower problem, it's a timing problem. You are trying to make a rational decision at exactly the moment your brain is least equipped to make one, because it's mid-recalibration. So here's the actual mechanism, the thing Marin did without ever reading a study on it. The day she found out about her raise, before the first larger paycheck even hit, she went into her 401k and her brokerage account and raised her contribution percentage to absorb almost the entire increase, not after she'd tried out the new income, not after a celebratory month, the same day. Her checking account, as far as her daily life was concerned, never got a raise at all. It stayed exactly where it had been, and every dollar of the increase went somewhere she'd already decided it would go, before her brain had a chance to redraw the math around it. Josh, meanwhile, did something that felt completely reasonable in the moment. He waited. He wanted to feel the raise for a bit, see it land, enjoy a small upgrade as a reward for the promotion he'd earned. And that's the trap. It's not that his instinct was wrong or greedy, it's that he wasn't told the window was closing in real time. By the time he thought about increasing his contributions, 90 days had passed, a new car payment existed, and the new salary already felt like it was barely enough. The money hadn't disappeared into anything dramatic, it had just quietly become normal. I think this is why the standard advice to just cut your spending fails so often for people who are otherwise financially sensible, and it deserves a moment of real honesty. Cutting spending after you've anchored to a lifestyle isn't a math problem, it's a grief problem. You're asking someone to voluntarily feel poorer than they've gotten used to feeling indefinitely for a decade, and almost no one sustains that. Automating before the anchor forms isn't grief at all, because there's nothing to mourn. You never got attached to spending that money in the first place. $50,000 at 30-something isn't a small number, and it isn't a large one. It's a foundation. And what determines whether it becomes financial independence at 42 or a mild talking point at 55 has far less to do with your investment returns than whether you make your biggest money decisions in the narrow, uncomfortable window right after a raise, while the feeling is still new, before your own mind quietly decides this is just what you make now. So if you're in your 30s, sitting on something close to that $50,000 number, here's the only real action item in this entire video. The next time your income moves, a raise, a bonus, a new job, don't wait to see how it feels. Increase your contribution the same day, before the money ever reaches a place you can spend it from. Let your checking account stay boring. That's it. That's the whole edge. And before you go, I'm genuinely curious about this one, so leave it in the comments. Think back to your last raise. How long did it actually take before that new number stopped feeling like extra and just started feeling like yours?